Let's see how many times we mess up talking. I have to edit
Yeah.
this.
I hope not that many.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll make us sound like we have a higher IQ level than we actually do.
I'm
Or a
I'm
speaking
fine with
ability.
portraying low IQ aimer as long as it's authentic, bro.
All right, guys, welcome back to the first episode of the Aimers Guild podcast. Today we have Uni. He's a target switcher enjoyer, mainly
Hello.
plays Battlefield and now
Yep.
Valorant. If you
Yep.
want to introduce yourself, plug your socials, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm sure the socials are gonna be in the description, so I don't have to
Yes,
say
of course.
other websites. But yeah, so I'm a aimer or self-proclaimed aimer from Singapore. I am currently in 223 and I play, as Mighty already said, I already play Battlefield, COD, and now I'm addicted to Valorant.
Oh, what did
Yeah.
you start out like? If you want to go through your background of your entire aim journey since you've been on mouse and keyboard, or if you were on console before
S-
that.
So the very first FPS I ever played was okay. So like I started playing when I was very young, so like original Xbox type thing. So it was Halo Combat Evolved, and then Modern Warfare 2, like the 2009 one, I think. And then it was just a lot of console games, like story games and everything, because FPSs within a young age isn't really something parents allow. So then once COVID hit, I think I bought my PC, and that's around when I started streaming. And there I was hooked on Fortnite, which doesn't really count as aiming, but then I transitioned over to Apex, and as Mighty knows, I'm not very good at Apex. So
Hey, Masters is
I
all that counts.
hey, exactly. I used to be good. I'm not good anymore. But yeah, that was the first real exposure that I had to aiming. So that was the first quote unquote discipline tracking, you know. And then I slowly transitioned over to target switching the deeper I went into like the aiming community. And yeah, now I'm here.
So you found target switching as your main draw to aiming. Did you do
Yeah.
any like aim trainers to support that, or were you just a pure in-game
So
aimer and trained that way?
um at first, okay, so when I started out Apex, I was really atrocious. So it was like bad, very good, and then bad immediately again. So when I was very good though, I did actually end up doing aim training a lot. I started out with aim labs. I don't have that many hours in it because that prime Apex time didn't last very long. So, but when I was quote unquote in my prime, then I did buy Kovacs, so I do have experience to it, and I still do use it on and off. But when it came to target switching, I actually only bought Battlefield 5 because I saw a Visc OCE. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Yes,
Sorry,
Viscos.
Viscos. Yeah. I saw her video, and then I immediately thought, okay, I'll wait for discount on Battlefield, and then I'll just buy it, see how it goes, and then you know everything just went from then on. I didn't do a
Yeah,
lot of aim training for that.
yeah, that's valid because my first introduction, like my biggest introduction
Mhm.
to tire switching as well, was from Viscos. Just like seeing
Yeah,
her montages on YouTube, on Twitter, stuff like that. And it's
absolutely
like
insane.
you see that kind of aim and you just want to replicate it. And
Exactly. Yeah, my exact thoughts.
yeah. So now the big question is, since you played, I'm guessing you spent a decent amount of time on both aim trainers.
Yes.
Which one do you prefer more? Like English, which one do you prefer more?
um, so Aim Labs is definitely very good because it's free. It's like entry level. It can be good if you want to improve more, but I feel like Kovacs is more tailored to the enthusiast. So if you really want to go above and beyond, definitely Kovacs. But if you're just using it as like warm up or just like observing your stats or something, then Aim Labs is more than enough.
That was actually really well said. I
Yeah.
always said something like Kovacs is more scenario variety, like using really
Exactly. Yeah.
like detailed words, but just saying Kovacs is more for the actual competitive and really
Mm-hmm.
people that want to put like get in
Mm-hmm.
depth, and aim labs is for the casual. That's actually a really nice way to put it.
Yeah. I also feel like for more like people who main Kovacs like push scores, I feel like that's really perfect for them. And aim labs is, it works. That's just the main point.
Yeah. So over the few games you've played,
Mm-hmm.
describe each of your experiences and your likes and dislikes for all of them, and we can talk about that.
Okay, wait. I kind of need to pull up my Steam library. Okay. So,
Valid. Very
um,
valid.
Valorant, I've been playing since pretty much the start of it, like episode 1, act 2 or something. It is it is addicting once you start to get the flow of it. Um, so at the very beginning, I was horrid. Genuinely, the improvement arc though is what kept me going. Like seeing these small marginal improvements in your aim, like crosshair placement, your positioning, like map knowledge and everything keeps you playing that game. So overall I have a very uh I don't know. I hold the game in very high regards, I would say. And then community wise, it is either a amazing community or it is downright horrible, especially in Asia,
Yep.
because you get two teammates. Either you get fluently speaking English teammates, which also fall into two categories. Either they're beyond toxic and egotistical beyond belief, or they're very nice. But I don't speak a lot of Asian languages except for maybe a tiny bit of Chinese. But I live in Singapore, right? There is Indonesian, there's Cantonese, there's Malaysian, there's a few million other dialects, so it's kind of hard to gauge the community in that sense, but because half the time I don't know what they're saying. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I should say if it's toxic or if it's good. But overall, I think it's a really solid community. And Valorant being an tech FPS also has really good aiming, you know, of course.
Yeah. For the community side, I've seen a lot of that. Basically, like most of my time playing FPS games, like real games, not counting like the stuff I did before, was in Apex.
Hmm.
When I moved into like the larger like game chat type of game, which is
Hmm.
Warzone, you just hear like
Uh,
everybody. Most of the time in Apex, I just hear people speaking in English, but I hear
hmm.
people speaking in like Spanish or other languages, even when I'm in
Hmm.
the US. So that's pretty
Wow.
interesting and unique for
Yeah.
me. But the fact that you'd have to deal with that on a daily basis is
Hmm.
strange, especially for an American.
Yeah. So then Apex, yeah. I mean, when I was pushing ranked, I enjoyed it a lot because it's a lot more, I don't know how to say it, but more individual. You can push teams and then actually come out unscathed, or like you pop a few bats and then you win. But I feel like team cohesion in Apex matters less than it does in other games, of course. So I feel like it's a much easier game to play solo and improve in solo. Of course, there's no solos mode, but it just works. And then regarding
Actually,
controller, obviously.
well,
Mm-hmm.
about the solos mode, I don't
Yeah.
like. Have you looked into Apex stuff in Apex News recently at all?
Yeah, I mean there was yeah,
Yeah, there
I
was
know
the
there was
LTM for
the
solos. Yeah,
limited time mode,
yeah.
but that's not permanent, sadly. If not,
Unfortunately, yeah.
I would actually try and play Apex again then, if it were permanent, but
I think
it isn't.
what a lot of people found out about the solos mode is everybody was like, yes, the solos mode, we can finally compete. And then you
Hmm.
play solos and you realize how
Oh,
fucking ass you are, and there's no cues for it. Like
I'm
at the
telling you.
end of the LTM, nobody fucking played it. It was just MNK sweats. That was it.
I'm telling you, I ran
So
into more Predators and Masters players playing solos than I did when I played like when I no life ranked and played Masters lobbies. That was crazy. It's way too hard, and I cannot compete. Remember, this is like what? How long ago was it? Like 3 months ago?
yeah,
No.
about
Yeah.
3 months
And
maybe.
then the last time I touched Apex properly was a year ago, and there was already shit, right? So imagine me 3 months ago. I haven't touched Apex in half a year. Is genuinely, it was not fun. I hit
Yeah.
one zipline clip and that was it. I got off. I uninstalled immediately.
It's just like I think the loudest people who want all the changes and what most of the people who are looking for those like influences
hmm
are like the top 1%, like either MK players or controller
hmm
players that can compete in like solos modes, who
hmm
want solos modes because they feel bogged down by their teammates in
Yeah.
trios or they have to play solos trios. So it's just what might be good for the more advanced players is not necessarily
hmm
good for the general community and what the general community would like.
hmm Yeah, I get that. I mean, isn't Apex has skill-based matchmaking, right?
Very, very strong skill
Yeah,
based matchmaking.
so I feel like that helps that area, but I also dislike the idea of skill-based matchmaking.
Yeah.
But it does help the casual community, and I see the appeal from like big companies wanting to employ that, of course. But it's just
It's
from
just
an
like,
enthusiast level, it's
yeah, it's
just
like from
not
their
worth it.
point of view. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, no, no,
From
all
their
good.
point of view, they want to keep people on as long as they fucking can. So the
Which they
easiest way.
failed to do so. Didn't they hit like
Exactly.
the least amount of players like in the past few weeks?
Oh yeah, Apex is
Horrible.
at its low time, like lowest amount of average players in 24-hour period it's ever had
Yeah, that is
since launch. It's crazy.
Jesus.
So they're trying to employ all of these stuff to make it so the game is so nice to play, but nobody fucking wants to play it. And
Yeah.
then everybody that wants to play it are put in these fucking hard ass lobbies with
hmm
sweats, with preds, where they shouldn't be, from my point of view at least, there shouldn't
Yeah,
be skill based
definitely not.
matchmaking in public lobbies. It just shouldn't be a
100%.
thing.
Yeah, I agree. That's horrible. Especially also in COD, sorry to like switch games, but
Nah, it's fine, it's fine.
in skill-based matchmaking in COD is horrible. I came back from vacation, right? I hopped on COD. The first two lobbies were amazing. Too bad I was horrible because 3 weeks out of it I'm not hitting anything. But the lobbies were amazing. It's like two max level players on the enemy team and my team, and then like a mid tier player like me, and then also on the other team, and then like low players scattered throughout, right? And then we win those, like steamroll those two games. The third game, my entire team is sub level 200s or so, and the opposing team is pretty much all max level. Sweating their balls off, control the players. That's I don't know. It's really weird.
Yeah, especially when I was going for gameplays and stuff in Warzone,
hmm
I'd stream for about a 3 hour period.
Yeah.
The first 15 minutes is when I'm warming up. Lobbies are kind of easy. I'm having a fun time. I'd
Yeah.
maybe get a decent game, like not
hmm
quite gameplay level, but
Yeah.
it's like a decent game. And then
hmm
for the remaining 2 hours of
Yeah.
stream, sweats, cheaters, more sweats. You just keep on dying. You can't win a fight. You just get
Yeah.
absolutely fucking rolled. And then at the end of those
Jesus.
2.5 hours, you're fucking tired. You
hmm
get a decent
Yeah.
game, you just want to get off.
hmm
It's like, that was one of the main reasons that made me quit. It was just like, I can't deal with
Yeah,
this.
that's just not it's not worth it. Especially like you get a gameplay, I mean from your perspective, you get a gameplay that's like I don't know what your standards are, but like 12 kills, 15 kills. It's decent, but it's not like strafe level, but
Yeah.
you know, it's decent. Just get off. You're not getting another game like that. You're getting put
Yeah.
in like I don't know whatever the max rank is, like iridescent or something.
It's like, I've, I remember raiding into like streamers' chats after I was done gaming. I'm like,
Yep.
today was actually fun. And the fact that I have to say that about a game that I play every day and quote unquote
Yeah.
enjoy is crazy.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
mhm.
So yeah, it's like I realized that a month
Mhm.
and a half ago. I'm like, why am I playing a game that I just blatantly do not enjoy?
Yeah.
And that
It's really just not worth it.
I actually just I literally hate myself when I'm playing it and when I'm done. I just feel so drained, so I just stopped.
Yeah, that's me with Apex. I haven't touched it since May 31st.
Yeah.
So it's not.
It's like there's not, from my point of view, there's no real
Mhm,
games that one have a decent balance of skill,
mhm.
and two, you can show that skill without getting punished with like after that for the rest of the time you're playing that game that day. It's just
Uh, that's
yeah.
that's where Battlefield 5 comes in. That's that's why I play Battlefield 5.
Is there
Besides
no
me
skill based
getting
matchmaking?
no, it's not necessarily that. I'm sure there's gonna be skill-based matchmaking and like normal queues, but since Battlefield usually has like what are they called? Like community servers, they set up these community servers themselves. So if the lobby isn't good, of course you can just leave or just buff it out. But you can always find these lobbies where it's usually always a very good spread of players, like from experience level. So it's always like a lot of low levels, then a few very high levels, and then there's always like a certain ebb and flow to the game that it doesn't really change all too much. So it's not like in COD where it's like two games you steamroll and then you get shit on for the next 2 hours. You can choose which lobbies are good and then you can keep on playing in them. So it's much more
Yeah,
easier to play on Battlefield.
that is actually really valid. That
Hmm.
um every like when I watch your streams, especially when you
Hmm.
play Battlefield, I don't notice like a big shift in how you're doing depending on what games you're playing or what lobbies you're
Hmm.
in. It's very
Exactly.
consistent. So
Yeah.
it's I think it's like a really I don't know how it is for like you to play, but it's a more
No,
enjoyable
no.
experience than
It's definitely that. Yeah.
yeah, because I
It's definitely much more enjoyable.
yeah, like I'd watch like either Warzone players or Apex players and they do well one game. I say like
Hmm.
straight for whatever. If he's like he gets a gameplay one game, and then for the rest like 45 minutes before he gets a decent game, he's just
Hmm.
getting like 5 or 6 kills, maybe 10 kills max, just
Yeah.
absolutely like getting destroyed, not being able
Hmm.
to fight whatsoever. So,
Yeah.
having a consistent experience is probably really
Hmm.
nice for the longevity of you actually playing that game.
Definitely. But you can't really say the same for all Battlefields. I mean, the only experience that I have is a little bit in Battlefield 4 and the majority in Battlefield 5. I did buy 2042 and I played in the beta, I played on multiple free weekends, but really it's not fun. That game, the maps are just don't flow very well. The guns are weird to me at least because I didn't play that much. I'm guessing the more you level up, obviously the better the guns get, but it was not that fun for me to keep it. So
Yeah, I've heard a
yeah.
lot of stuff about Battlefield
Yeah,
and
it's not a
Flying.
good
It's just
game. It's not a good
yeah,
game.
from like many different people that've played it, from Focus to other target switches. It's just if you want to have an enjoyable experience, play Battlefield 5. Even though it's
Exactly.
older, it's still a
Very,
better
very active.
core game. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it still has like a decent amount of players.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. A lot of dedicated players.
Yeah, and I'm guessing you haven't dealt with other than playing Apex. You haven't
Mm-hmm.
dealt with the control issue. I'm guessing.
A lot of people say, "Oh, on COD, there's so much controller," and it's only recently that I understand like or like felt that there was an
Yeah,
issue
that
with
is.
the aim assist.
Yeah,
And in Apex, I barely felt it.
I
I won't
think
lie.
during the first few years of Apex, it wasn't really known how to fully manipulate it, and also didn't
Yeah.
have such a like strong. It wasn't. I don't know for fact. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure it wasn't as strong as it was
Yeah,
now.
it could be.
And so it's just controller should not have its power that it does.
Hmm.
And
It
like I
should
know
just
people
help you.
say
It shouldn't aim for you. That's the main
exactly.
part.
It's like everybody's saying, "Oh, mouse and keyboard players want it to be removed." Yada yada. Like they're saying it's horrible. No. I don't know
Exactly. It
where
just
or
needs to be
who.
tweaked. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't really speak on it that much because one, I didn't experience it that much, and two, I don't have that much experience with controller on Apex. But it really, I feel like a simple fix would just to be to tone it down. I'm not
Yeah.
sure how that would work, but you know, just going on a hunch.
Yeah. It's like it doesn't have to be completely removed because then it will
Exactly.
be there will be like a legitimate skill gap like there is between controller and keyboard and mouse now. It'll be keyboard and mouse is over controller. But if you can
Mm-hmm.
make it so that it has, let's say, the average reaction time of a human being, which is 200 milliseconds, if it
Okay.
has
Okay.
200 milliseconds of delay when the player, let's say, strafes the other way, jumps,
Mm-hmm.
moves in a different direction, or anything, that will greatly improve
Mm-hmm.
like the actual ability and
Yeah,
for keyboard mouse players to compete.
I guess that makes sense. I feel like it should just be based on the in. It should aid you based on the input you give the controller, but and then that toned down. That's what I feel like might be fair. I'm not
Yeah.
sure
So have you? I know Valorant added
though.
controller, or it gave the ability for controller players to play on console.
Yeah,
Is
that's
there any
I
plans
don't
on
think
adding that
I
into like competitive or LAN or anything, or is it strictly just for controller players to enjoy the game?
I hope that it never comes to being what's it called? Cross-platform, because that would be horrible. But I don't think the implementation of controller is that bad. Like in competitive, I feel like it should be forced. Like, let's say crossplay does get added, and then uh, in comp, it should be restricted to just M&K or just controller lobbies. I feel like that would be great,
Yeah.
but doing this crossplay thing with controller, I feel like would ruin the game kind of. But I also don't really know how console Valorant or controller Valorant really works, because from what I could tell, there's not that much aim assist. I don't feel like there is.
Mhm.
There's this weird ADS feature where it's like you don't scope in, but you sort of like half scope in, like you look closer to the gun, but it isn't really the actual scope. So
Interesting.
it's not really.
Yeah, I've never played it because I don't own a console
Yeah, me
myself.
neither.
So I'm just thinking if it's going to be something like what R6 has, where it's just strictly there's controller lobbies, there's keyboard and
Yeah,
mouse lobbies, and there's
exactly.
competitive for both, and they don't mix at all, which I
Hmm.
think would be like the best thing.
I feel like in casual they could be a bit more lenient on that. I don't mind that, but in competitive games or ranked games, then yeah, then then it should force one input per lobby.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I also like that, or
Mhm.
jokingly, sarcastically, I like that Xdefiant has
Mhm.
already like, has pre-enabled um, input-based matchmaking and casual.
Really?
Yet
Oh,
in comp, any input goes, so you just
what?
get steamrolled by
So
controller.
so
So
it's
it's like,
reversed. No way.
really? It's like fine
Yeah.
for the casuals, but
Mhm.
like they get to play with their respective input. But why put it as the
Bro.
only option for like ranked when you already have that built in for pubs? It just doesn't make sense to me.
That's weird. Yeah, I haven't played X Defiant since it dropped. I played it for 10 minutes. I got off. I got off. I don't know. It's not a game that I feel like playing that much, or like quote unquote wasting my time on it. It's not really that fun. I played the beta and I thought it was nice, but they did need to improve on it. And everyone's saying, I think I saw a tweet like earlier this week that the X-Defined devs got sort of lulled into this false sense of security that everyone was ready for the game and that the game would needed to release, but then they might have released it a bit too early without having the necessary changes and like implementing new maps, new guns and everything, because I feel like it's still the same guns since the beta. Like
Yeah, it's
it
like,
doesn't feel like anything's new from that.
yeah, I played the betas from a year ago, a little bit more than a year
Hmm.
ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is a nice idea. It's a kind of tracking based, um, like middle of the range time to kill,
Hmm.
like arena shooter, which I was kind of interested in, with a little bit of abilities on the side, which I wasn't too
Exactly.
favorable of.
Yeah, that.
I'm like, yeah, um, abilities is a whole different topic I want to bring up later.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's like, okay, if they add a little bit more, this could be really interesting. And I played the following
Exactly.
beta, and the following beta, and then the game launched, and there was nothing new, nothing changed. It
Exactly.
was
Yeah.
like,
It's too stale.
yeah,
And especially in
it's
such a competitive market where COD is releasing everything again and again and again, and people still keep buying it for some reason. I got COD gifted to me, thank God. I didn't have to waste my money on it. I got the money's worth out of it, but they really can't compete with a half-baked model like that. That it
yeah.
just doesn't work.
And then with all the issues that are still prevalent now, with there being not really balanced gunplay, or not gunplay abilities, where you can get one tapped by different things, and servers have
Hmm.
issues.
Of
There's
course they do.
desync
It's Ubisoft.
issues. There's desync issues. You get shot behind walls, cars,
Uh,
basically anything. It's just,
Jesus.
and it's been a few months since the game's released. The people have been
Yeah.
complaining about this forever, and just nothing
Hmm.
changes.
Yeah, X-Defiant has gone under my radar. The moment it released, I heard a few things for like I think 3 days, and then it just completely vanished from my feed, including YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think there were more hype for the betas than there were for the actual
Exactly.
release of the game.
Yeah, it's
Because yeah, it's like everybody realized slowly and slowly that the game wasn't changing as the beta's gone on, so there's no real point
mhm,
continue to support this game.
exactly.
So to shift focus to Valorant,
Hmm.
um, you talked a little bit about the community itself.
Yep.
I've well, we've probably all seen um clips and stuff on Twitter or on TikTok of e-dating and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Do you think the community has taken this kind of basically view, like trying to get views or whatever from these clips too far?
I mean, depends on what you mean too far. Okay, like these one kill for one like uwu or whatever the fuck is a bit, yeah, okay, that's just bait. That doesn't actually happen, obviously. But I don't think that e-dating itself is the problem. It's just the so-called hyperbole of that. It's just like doing it too much. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that bad. I don't notice it that much. Then again, I don't play unrated or swift play, so.
Another another question I wanted to ask.
Hmm.
I've heard a lot of complaints about the ranking system in the game over the past few years. I personally haven't touched rank in that game
Hmm.
since I haven't put enough hours.
I'm
But
still waiting for the 15 centimeter Val grind, you know?
soon, soon, one
Yeah,
day. But what are your thoughts on the current rank system, and do you think it should be improved or changed at all?
I have absolutely no clue how it would be improved or changed at all. I think it's one of the more fairer systems because let's say Fortnite or like any BR ranked system, right? You get placement points, which is pretty much like a pat on the back. Hey, you did a good job. Here's some points. Better luck next time. So it's very easy to gain a little bit of points. But the thing about Valorant is you have to win. There's no like, oh yeah, here's a pat on the back. You did your best. Of course, if you're like top frag, oh shit, my cam. um, it's not okay. So you get like negations, I guess. I'm not sure how you would say it. It's like when you're top fragger, so like match MVP after a game, but you lost, then you would get less rank points deducted. But the way points are distributed in the game, I feel like is very, very good. It's very fair, I feel like. I'm not sure what the complaints are because I barely heard of any, but yeah.
It's like for BRs, I think the reason you get placement points is just it's so difficult to win
Yeah, exactly.
consistently. Like if you just lost points every single time you lose a game, eh, even if you won
Yeah, that would
even if you gained a significant amount because you won, you wouldn't get anywhere. It's like
exactly. Yeah.
so I think currently the Apex rank system is way too easy. It's so easy to
Yeah.
rank up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they prioritize kills way more than they do placement. Get like if you get a squad wipe, you
Mm-hmm.
gain like 30.
Really?
Even if you only did a little bit of damage, and if you got a kill in there, you can gain up to 60 plus. So I
Wow.
don't think it's fair at
Okay.
all how much
Holy shit.
they're rewarding players. So
God
I'm like,
damn.
yeah, and then I don't know, for Apex they just swings back and forth. I'm sorry, I'm prioritizing Apex. It's like the one game I actually
Yeah.
know, but
Okay, okay.
um, it's like they either have a really bad rank system, which I think they did a few, maybe almost a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
where they tried to replicate the rank system. Maybe it was a few months ago. They tried to replicate the rank system of what like tournaments are,
Mm-hmm.
or like their actual competitive side, where if you
Mm-hmm.
don't place above top 10, you don't gain anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it prioritized like ratting and just players not even playing. It was like I saw clips on Twitter every day of people having 0 kills, 0 damage, and being
Jesus.
pred. It was crazy. Someone just left their PC on with an auto rejoin button, and they got to masters. It was like it was crazy shit. So I don't think Apex has yet to figure out a good way to
Mm-hmm.
properly rank people and properly distribute um rank points.
Yeah. And like speaking of like bad rank systems, like air quotes bad rank systems, uh Fortnite. I know not a lot of people play Fortnite in the aiming community especially, but there they had Arena, which is arguably the best ranked system that Fortnite ever had, but they tried to change it to be more like Apex and percentage wise. You don't know what you're gaining percentage for. You don't know how much placement points give you, and it's literally just if you win or get like top 10. It doesn't matter how many kills, or like obviously it matters how many kills, but it's just so badly communicated that you can get to Unreal every single time. So that's also bad. And then getting back to Valorant, the way points are distributed, I feel like is fair. Like, okay, not just me saying that it's fair and then that's that, but like going beyond that. Like, let's say you go negative and then it's like 11-15, right? You get 11 kills, 15 deaths. You're like third frag or so. You won't get many points, like maybe plus 19, plus 20, plus 22, but you're still getting enough points to rank up, to potentially rank up. And when you're getting minus points and you're top frag, you get like minus 13, minus 14 or so. So it's always this like exchange of rank points that I find is very, very good.
Yeah. I think Apex does it a little bit better now.
Mm-hmm.
But even a few seasons ago, before they implemented the LP system,
Yep.
where you how it would depend on how much RP you had and deducted from there, that
Uh-huh.
I saw clips on or other stuff on Twitter as well of you
Mm-hmm.
could win a game um as like top 10 pred, but you'd have so much RP
Yeah.
because the system was also really skewed that
Mm-hmm.
like top something present over 100,000 RP, that you wouldn't be able to gain any. You would
Holy
actually
shit.
gain zero. At the end of the game, you'd have zero. So it's like it was good for the people that were lower ranks,
Yeah.
but for the people that were at the top, you couldn't gain shit. Like
Yeah.
absolutely nothing.
That's
So
that's horrible.
yeah, and then they transitioned to where no matter what your rank is, you get minus 35 from the beginning.
Hmm.
So
That one I actually don't mind. That as like an entrance fee, I don't care. But if you're also getting that at the top, like you said, if you're getting 0 points, but then minus 35 at every game, at the start of every game, then you're literally losing, even though you might be winning.
yeah,
But I don't know if that's how it works.
and
Probably
then
not.
also
Yeah.
you mentioned about Fortnite having
Hmm.
like you didn't know exactly how much you were gaining.
Hmm.
Apex was the same thing. All you
Yeah.
could see was your placement LP while you were in the match,
Hmm.
and after the match ended, you were given like extra LP for the amount of kills you had or damage or whatever.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know how much you would get. So it's like sure once you get to 10 like top 10 placement,
Hmm.
you might be you might be able to get a little bit from there, but you have to consistently get to top 10 every single game to gain stuff to
Yeah.
even get like even balance out how much you were losing from the beginning, which I think
Holy
was a
shit.
really bad system for the casual players
Yeah.
and people consider the worst season of Apex ever.
Yeah, that does not sound. It doesn't sound fun at all.
So I want to ask you, and I want to make this like a long discussion question.
Yeah.
What? Oh, we all talked. We've like been talking about the. Um, I'm gonna figure out how to actually state this. English is my first language. I know people don't believe me.
Yeah, I get the same problem. Just it's worse because German also comes there. So I know German words, but I don't know English words, and then vice versa.
So we've been talking about the flaws of games with controller being a little bit too powerful, and then the rank system also being not the best.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think FPS games are heading in a good direction or a worse direction?
That's a tough question. I mean, okay, so obviously right now with like engagement optimized matchmaking and being in COD allegedly, I'm not sure about that. I've just heard that term being thrown around and floating around the space. Um Obviously that's horrible. That's like it's just making games which are supposed to be enjoyable and fun into products that just need to fill sale quotas. That's not the point of games. So what Apex is doing with the Battle Pass changes, which was hugely controversial, and I'm guessing the game got reviewed bombed for that. Um, I'd say overall, FPS games are taking the piss right now. But but it's a good thing because if FPS games are going down, it means the sooner they hit rock bottom, the more they're going to have to do to get back up. Meaning they're going to implement changes that the community wants, meaning they're going to listen more to the community. And therefore, we're going to get changes that we actually want in games that we enjoy and play. So, yeah.
I think there's
Obviously, I'm not.
another.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
What were you gonna say?
Obviously, it's not nice to talk about games like, oh, XDefiant is down in the dumps. I hope that it goes back up again because it does seem like an actually good game, but video game developers need to realize this that they can't bring out stuff like that and expect players to actually be satisfied with it. And yet, no. Yeah.
I think it's a lot of like replicating what's already been out there. Like Apex wasn't the first BR.
Yeah, of course.
Fortnite wasn't the first BR. It was just
Mm-hmm.
they saw what was going on, they saw the direction of what was happening, and then like the quote unquote first BR game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe was it Warzone? First BR?
No, the first BR was H1Z1, I think.
Yeah. So that um oh yeah, yeah. So that came out and
Mm-hmm.
then people saw interest in that. and
Yeah.
people started playing it, and then other companies saw it, and
And then
you see
PUBG
for like
came along, and
yeah,
then Fortnite came along, and then
and then
the next and the
Apex
next
would
and the
come along.
next. Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like originally we were going to have Apex wasn't going to be Apex Legends the Battle Royale. It was going to be
Hmm.
Titanfall 3.
I
But
still
EA
wish they made
saw
that. I saw.
honestly, EA saw where it was going and then just completely shifted focus. And
Come
then
on,
we
man.
had the whole Battle Royale meta come out.
Hmm.
And I think during those times where Battle Royales were fresh, people were playing them, they were a little bit different, a little bit unique. I think that was like the high point in FPS game. And I think like
That
FPS
was
games
like
in general.
the, I don't know what prime it was, but it was definitely a prime.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then since then it's just been I think a little bit downhill. Valorant came out as well. Valorant's been very popular.
Hmm.
And then you just have other games trying to replicate those kind of hero shooters where there's just
Yeah,
been
that
copy
was.
after copy after copy.
I mean, with Overwatch being out for so long, you'd think that there would be more hero shooters, but now it's only like, I don't know when Overwatch came out, but uh, like those many years after Overwatch came out, now everyone's going to hero shooters. Like Marvel Rivals is coming out, XDefiant is technically a hero shooter. Uh, Something that went completely under people's radars is Concord, I think. I'm not sure if it was called that. With Concord Ubisoft. Yep. That shit died on like in the beta. That shit did not make any headlines. It had maybe like a few hundred people playing, and that was it. So people trying to replicating isn't a problem. It's just like doing the same like you need to take the
Slop.
base of an
Yeah.
idea and then innovate upon that, and not just take the same idea and stick with it. Like that's the problem people face, I feel like.
Yeah. And I think that's been happening a lot recently where
Hmm.
companies just want to get the money that comes from having these kind of games and don't really want to spend
100%.
the time, the energy in making them unique.
Yeah, that's pretty much Call of Duty's model right now,
Yeah,
at
it's like
least.
they haven't had a good game since 2019, but they've been releasing a new game
Hmm.
every single year. And then
Hmm.
every year, everybody says, oh, this is the new best Call of Duty. It's going to be the new best Call of Duty. And everybody hates on it. And that's
Hmm.
also one of the reasons why everybody's like, oh, um, what's the new one that's coming out? BO6?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gulf
everybody's like
War, I think.
BO6. BO
Yeah,
what?
Gulf War, I think that was the name, but BO6 pretty much.
Yeah. BO6 is coming out. Everybody's like, it's going to save COD. I don't think so. Um, I don't think anything is unless they really, really do something unique that we haven't seen yet. I don't think it's gonna save COD.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of people might be tired of the boots on the ground CODs. Like, I want to see an Advanced Warfare or Black Ops 3 sprinkled again, sprinkled like over the gaming landscape. Because that shit, because that's more like an arcade shooter. That's what I mean. That's what COD advertises itself, an arcade shooter. So it should be fun. It should be easy to get into. But with SBMM, blah 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 blah, it's very hard to do so. And the recent CODs aren't necessarily bad. I mean, Modern Warfare 3 isn't a bad COD, so to say. I think Sledgehammer definitely improved it a lot from it being called the DLC to having a lot of unique guns and old guns coming back, new maps, old maps coming back. I feel like they did a really good job on that. But of course, it's the same formula every single year. But there's always something good there, but I feel like they just need to take everything that's good from the CODs that they had and then put it into one COD, and then boom,
Yeah,
they make millions, billions.
yeah. It's like bring everything back and just focus on. I think the big thing is focus on the community over
Exactly.
the pockets of the investors, which
Yeah.
is
Because if they
not.
focus on the community, it's just it's free money then, you know.
Yeah, it's like if you made the games good, people are gonna spend money on the game. People are gonna spend money in the game. You will get
Hmm.
like more money. that way.
Exactly.
And it's like, I don't know, companies just don't see that as as being a viable option. You see um COD milking out their community. You see Apex releasing um like some of the most expensive limited time skins out of any
Yeah.
game I've seen, and then they want you to pay upfront twice a season $10 or
Yeah. No.
$20 per split. It's crazy.
I don't know what they were thinking with that one. That's comical. That's not.
Yeah. So from here, what do you think the future of FPS games are?
Uh, I mean, I feel like it's gonna reflect a lot on Okay, so in story games or like single player co-op games, right? Recently, AAA games have been donkey doo doo shit, right? So what I've seen in like the past 2 years is that indie studios have been really on the rise and everything. So I do hope the same thing happens to FPS games, that like independent studios and smaller studios bring out their own innovative ideas and games. Like I forgot. Like a month ago, there was like a playtest for a game called Fragpunk. It was like, uh, what was it? Sure, it was a hero shooter tech FPS, but it looked visually distinctive, and the mechanics in the game actually looked like they were a lot of fun. Obviously, I didn't get my hands on it, but from like a third-person perspective, it looked like a lot of fun, and it was innovative. It took the base idea of a hero shooter and a tech FPS, and then innovated on that.
Yeah, I think the same could be said about Srinova. Have you seen stuff about that game at all?
Nova, I've heard of it, but I didn't really see that much. I mean, I might have seen it, but I don't think the name registered in my head. Where's Stranova? Shanova. Oh, this one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've
Yeah,
seen
it's
that.
like I was really interested when this came out. Personally, I was like, I didn't see myself playing it since I
Mm-hmm.
don't like that kind of gunplay, but I might get
Yeah.
into it just because it's unique. There is like
Exactly. Yeah.
actually no other game on the market that replicates that kind of
Mm-hmm.
you can turn 2D. It's
Oh,
I don't know.
that's Stranova. Ah,
Yes.
no, no, no. I've seen that before. Yeah, that one was cool. I
Yeah,
thought that was
it
like a visual bug or something.
no, it's like they
That's a
took
mechanic. Damn.
yeah, they took a completely different twist that nobody thought
Mm-hmm.
was like that nobody thought of before and added that to the game. That adds a whole new skill ceiling in
Wow.
TAC FPS games.
Jesus. Getting back to Fragpunk, I just searched it up. The mechanic that made it so distinctive was power up cards. Because I've only seen that in like party games or like single player games, but having a power up card in a 5v5 hero shooter is kind of insane. I'm definitely looking into Fragpunk, or like looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So do you think hero shooters are going to be the wave for the next few years, or do you think it's going to shift into a new kind of meta?
I mean, I feel like hero shooters have always been around, like a thought in the back of your head, but I'm not too sure if they're gonna go with that. I'm hoping to see something like Quick Champions to return, or like Doom shooters, Boomer shooters, and then like in general arena shooters, because that one has very high skill ceilings in terms of mechanics, and also aiming in general. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping for that, but you might be right with hero shooters. It might come back to mainstream.
Yeah, it's just like there's a reason people are still playing these games
Hmm.
so many years later after they've released.
Yeah.
And if we can, and I doubt people are going to be playing Apex or any other of these newer games a dozen
Hmm.
years after they released.
Yeah.
It's like the only game that really comes to mind that's held its popularity since release is CS. CS has done
I thought you were gonna say Fortnite.
No, Fortnite
I,
has not. Fortnite
I
has
mean,
changed a lot from its original
that's
views,
yeah.
and I
Hmm.
think that's kicked away a lot of its original base and the original players. But I think
Hmm.
CS has kept a lot of what it stood for.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Now that I think about it, you're right. Because there's always been like a strong sense of community, one, and two, that there's always been like this massive competitive hype around it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
As for the final question to wrap this off,
Hmm.
what are your future plans for content creation for your general time in this space, and what do you want to achieve in the future?
So for me personally, is just to stay a bit consistent because I think in 2 weeks when I go back to school, it's gonna be fucking exam after exam after exam. So I'm gonna be back to my normal schedule of just playing on the weekends. So I hope to improve my skill as much as possible so I don't suck at games anymore. And
Valid.
then also maybe drop a clip dump twice a month, once a month or so, just to see like progression and improvement. But otherwise, like long-term goals, I feel like learning how to edit, like sync edit to montages and stuff, could also be beneficial. And overall, just like learning more about the space and how to improve and how to grow. That's my main focus, I would feel like.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on here. It's been a real joy talking to you
Thank you.
and
Thank you for
listening to
having
hear
me,
your
man.
opinions and thoughts about the space. For the first episode of the podcast, went pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
Just say. So if you guys did enjoy, these will hopefully be dropping if I can do it once a week, if not every other week at the
Hmm.
minimum. So
Hmm.
if you want to see other people join, make sure you either let me know in the description or let me know in the comments and I'll reach out to them. But thank you guys so much for watching. Until the next interview, see you guys.